and we're coming to you live from Barbados. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Marcia Weeks, and you are watching the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. That's what's behind me there. That's Broad Street, Mall 34. I'm advertising for them, I guess, and we're coming to you live, as I said, from Barbados. I want to welcome those who are watching on Caribvision. If you're watching on Caribvision, hello. Um, we are going into 16 different Caribbean countries, those from Montserrat, those from Jamaica, wherever you're watching me from, good afternoon. And of course, I know you're watching me on Facebook and on YouTube as well. And recently we've been added to the 246 Bajan Vibes family. This is a radio station that broadcasts into the UK. So I know those from the diaspora in the UK that they will be watching as well. So this is a quite an exciting show today. And I'm going to ask you to share. I see people who are on already. Good afternoon. Can you tell me exactly where you're watching from? Where you're watching from? If you're on, I see you're on. Good afternoon. I'm saying good afternoon. In Jamaica, when we say man, we have to have manners, right? So I'm having manners today, and I say good afternoon. And can you say good afternoon to me as well? Where are you watching from? This is the Marcia Week Show, and we are coming to you live from Barbados. And today we are talking about what's happening in Africa. We're seeing a lot of headlines coming out of Africa, and one in particular that we're going to start with is the UK deciding that they are going to send refugees that are coming to the UK, that they want to send them off to Rwanda. So that's the first thing that we're going to discuss today. Then we're going to talk about Uganda. I'm sure everybody's seen the article with all of this gold, 12 trillion worth of gold has been found in Uganda, people. Anybody ready to go back to Africa? All those who said they weren't going to go to Africa, listen, this is an interesting time for Africa. All right. Yeah. So that is what has been found. $12 trillion worth of gold been found in Uganda. What does that mean for all of us here in the diaspora? What does that mean for Uganda? Who is doing the mining? What's going on? So we want to ask these questions. Then in Burkina Faso, there is an article that talks about over 50 persons have been killed there by an insurgency. In fact, they have been having this kind of turmoil now for 7 years there, and we wanna discuss that today. A lot of times people being killed in Africa, and it's almost like it doesn't do anything for us. We complain that the traditional media doesn't bring it, but we don't even share it on our page. It's almost like when people get killed in Africa, it's not, it doesn't affect us, but we will sit and we'll cry around the TV when CNN brings how many persons got killed in a school shooting, etc. But it's almost like people of color, when we die, or people in Africa when we die, it's not really much of a human loss. So we want to look into that today. All right. So I'm going to ask you to share. And again, I'm not hearing from anybody. Where are we watching from? Where are we watching from? Hi, good afternoon. Where are we watching from? Again, thank you all so much. Welcome those on the 246 Beige and Vibes family. Welcome. Great to be on with you today. And we're going to go right into it. And I'm just going to give you just a couple minutes to share, to continue sharing. Yeah, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to share. Continue sharing, please. Yes. And yeah, and we're going to just look at a little video here. A little video here that we're just going to watch a little bit from it before we start our discussion.
Royal Air Force Base in the United Kingdom. The flight you see has been cleared for takeoff. The plane will soon be heading to the land of conflict. Rwanda, or the Republic of Rwanda. It's a country landlocked between Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Burundi, and Tanzania. For the longest time in history, Rwanda was obscure. When it finally made headlines in 1994, it was because of genocide. 10% of the country's population was killed in 100 days. The persecuted were mostly the Tutsis. They used to be the ruling class, the ones that owned cattle and land. Colonial Belgium had pitted a clan called Hutu against the Tutsi. Bloody battles between the two began in the mid-90s. It then amplified into a genocide. The world had not seen anything like this, be it in scope or intensity. 1 million people killed in 10 days. People hacked to death by garden tools. Many were killed by their own neighbors. They say the Hutus wanted to exterminate the Tutsi, and they nearly achieved their goal. When the genocide ended, Rwanda's military entered neighboring Zaire, or present-day Democratic Republic of Congo. The military wanted to expel Hutu extremists, but it found itself involved in Zaire's civil war. World bodies criticized Rwanda, even suspended foreign aid. A peace agreement was reached in 2002. Rwanda withdrew troops from Congo. Congo repatriated Hutu extremists. In 2003, Rwanda held its first multi-party democratic election. That franchise did not stop ethnic violence. In 2010, when Rwanda was holding its second multi-party presidential elections, many opposition candidates and journalists were murdered. Many independent media outlets were banned. President Paul Kagame currently sits at the helm of Rwanda. His opponents abroad have been shot or strangled to death. Some 38% of the country lives below the poverty line. There's repression, there's brutality. Rwanda is currently being accused of helping rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo who've successfully occupied a town. Congo says Rwanda has once again invaded their country. This is a story that goes from one conflict to another. And despite all this, the United Kingdom thinks Rwanda is a perfect place for a fresh start. It is shipping illegal immigrants to Rwanda for a better life. Seriously, what gives?
WION is now available in your country. Download.
Well, we have with us this afternoon, we have with us Mr. Roland Houslin, and we would have just listened to that piece from Buan, compliments of Buan, and where they have given us a little story of Rwanda. And, I think that it was very important for us to understand where exactly the UK is sending these refugees. And so we have Mr. Roland Houslin with us, and he's going to be speaking on this particular issue of UK sending the refugees to Rwanda on a flight actually that was cancelled today. We also have Elder Nkosi Zunad with us, and he is Guyanese actually, and based in the UK. And I must say that Mr. Roland Houslin is also based in the UK. I did see Mr. Steve Moore, who is a Barbadian. I don't see many more in the room, but Steve Moore is on, and he is based. He's Barbadian and based in the UK. So it would have been great to have all the different perspectives. Mr. Ademi Hines, who's lived in the UK for a number of years, he's in the room, but I think we're having some challenges with his audio. With his technicals, and we'll wait for him to come in. But it'd be great to have all of these perspectives this afternoon. So let me go straight to Mr. Roland Houslin. Mr. Roland Houslin, as I said, is Jamaican, and he has been one of the victims of the Windrush scandal. And he has so willingly agreed to be on with us today. Mr. Houslin, as you listen to what the UK is getting ready to do in sending these refugees to Rwanda, what's going through your mind, sir? Welcome.
Well, thank you very much. Good afternoon. A number of things are going through my mind, and it's primarily how policies can affect, can have many impacts. I mean, in my case, I'll just give you an indication how policies affected me and my family. My mother came to UK 59. My father came in 60. My elder brother was born in 66. I was born in 68. 73, early 73, family went to Jamaica. Stayed there for a number of years, over 2 years. And after a while, I wanted to come back to the UK. However, they could not come back. The whole family could not come back to the UK, including my brother and myself, despite the fact that we were born here. The reason why we could not come back to the UK is because we were children, too young to come back, could not come back and look after ourselves, had no carer, etc., etc. Parents could not come back because they lost the indefinite leave to remain because they were out of the country, out of the UK, away from the UK for more than 2 years. So they lost the indefinite leave to remain. However, that did not only impacted my parents, it impacted my brother and myself. That child story that I just told you does not only apply to children who are of Jamaican parents. It affected other people, other individuals, other British citizens that were born here. The parents are from, whether it be from Barbados, Grenada, or other parts of the Commonwealth, because it was primarily Commonwealth descendants it happened to people of the Windrush generation and their descendants. Now, regarding the flight to Rwanda, that policy is said to stop illegal immigrants coming to the UK. However, those immigrants come to the UK, and that in all cases, strictly speaking, they are not illegal immigrants. They are refugees, and they should not be seen as illegal immigrants and are whatever type of immigrant.
So let me ask you something, Mr. Houslin. Mr. Houslin, someone, I realized that over 44% of Brits are in favor of what Boris Johnson is doing in sending these refugees to Rwanda. But you are
Yeah.
saying that he's saying that they're illegal immigrants, and you are saying that they're not. Why?
No, I'm not.
Why are you thinking that they're not illegal immigrants?
Because it has not been established that they are. They have not been processed yet. Once they're
Mhm.
processed, then we can go definitive than that. We can find out if they are either way. They have not been processed as yet, but they are all been tarnished with the brush of being illegal immigrant, and that is a political strategy to
Okay.
target or to tarnish all immigrants as illegal immigrants. Now,
Mhm.
these people came to the UK, right, to seek refuge. They are
Mhm.
seeking refuge in the UK for a number of reasons. One of the reasons that they have got family ties here. They have family members here with a brother, cousin, etc., etc. And there are
Mhm.
other reasons, practical reasons as well, why they would have come to the UK. A lot of these people speak English,
Yes.
so English is sort of their second or third language, which some of them may come to France, however, they speak no French. So it makes sense for them to come to the UK where they have got the language connection. And let's
Mhm.
not forget, a lot of these people are coming to the UK for one of the main reasons is because the UK were there. The UK were there where they are coming from in many cases, in one way. And, in some cases, hundreds of years through slavery, etc., and the
Okay.
colonization and
Mhm.
the empire and so on and so forth. So in
Right.
those cases, they've got connection to the UK, and I've got good reason
Wow, I
why
see.
they
Because
want to
let
come to
me
the
let me
UK.
say something, Mr. Hostin. Thank you for that bit of information there. Because, as I was researching it, the question is there: why didn't they go to France? Why are they? Why? Because they're saying, some of the citizens, the UK citizens, are saying, why don't they go to France? So you're saying that through years of colonization, some connection to the crown,
Yes,
there is that connection to the UK, and which
exactly.
is why they're choosing UK. Okay,
Yes.
understood. Mm-hmm. Wow.
In some cases, not all cases.
In some
I'm saying that
cases,
in some cases there are various reasons why they would have chosen the UK, and there are numerous reasons why they should not go to Rwanda. One of the reasons that Rwanda is not a safe place. In many, when we've got the history, we don't um, the history of Rwanda as well as the current situation there. And in fact, I think the UK are actually taking refugees from Rwanda. There are people that are coming from Rwanda,
yes.
coming to the UK and seeking refuge
Mhm.
here, and has been granted refugee status, right?
Mhm.
So if that is the case, it stands to reason that to a great extent, Rwanda is not a safe place, and they should not be sent to Rwanda.
So this is a question that, I mean, no, you've raised that issue, the point that there are refugees leaving Rwanda to go to the US, I mean to the UK. So what really is a motivation in
The
sending
motive,
these? Yes, go ahead.
you ask, yeah. So the motivation, right? Motivation to send these people to you from the UK to Rwanda is political. It's political for a number of reasons.
Mhm.
What the Conservative Party has done basically is started their political campaign early for the next election. And let me just elaborate and establish where I'm coming from. We had Brexit, 2016, right?
Yes.
And immigration has always been an issue here from 48 to the Windrush generation after the Second World
Mhm.
War, where the Windrush generation came here to build Britain after the Second World War. The National Health
Yes.
Service that we've got here would not be what it is and without the Windrush generation. Okay?
Mhm.
Now, with immigration being an issue all these years, what the Conservative Party is doing basically is saying, look what we are trying to do, look what we have been trying to do. However,
Ah.
because of this, we are not allowed to do it. And these people
Mhm.
have technically stopped us from doing what we are trying to do. and date was switched up. Yes, I've got, yeah.
Right.
Just a second, please. Hold on. Also hold on, please. Just a
yes.
second. I'm just
Cool.
speaking.
You need to wear that around your neck.
Okay.
Then you won't get stopped.
1 second.
Okay.
Okay. So basically, what is happening? Okay, let me see if I could get him again and see if he's speaking to us. Are you ready again, Roland?
Yes, I was just being checked. I'm at the House of Commons and UK. I've just been checked by security. I didn't have pass. Yeah, continue, please. Sorry.
Yes, yes. I know, guys. You guys are there in a protest action at the moment, right?
Well, not protest. We're lobbying.
You're lobbying. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You're lobbying about reparations. So you guys are really.
Yeah, not. Just a second. Not just reparation. 5 things. One of it is reparation, and we're also lobbying about Windrush and the changes that we need to the Windrush compensation scheme, as well as the Windrush Act. So they sort of tie in with
everything.
Rwanda.
Yeah, ties right in. Everything ties in. So you're saying that it's mainly political. Before I go to the and hence it's the Windrush was also part of the political game.
It was
as
precisely.
Yes, by the Conservative Party. So I see, and I mean, if you look at the polls, 44% of the people are for it. There are more people for it. They're more the in terms of the polls are in favor of this the refugees going to Rwanda, based on what I've seen.
I think most of the polls are indicating that most of the people are against it actually, and there are polls and we're not gonna go use the phraseology, their statistics and the other statistics that they mentioned.
Yes.
In the early afternoon. So, but let's say there is a lot of support for it in some quarters. Let's put it that way. However, there are other quarters that there's not a lot of support for it. A lot of support of it.
But remember, for the Brexit, I was there just before Brexit, and I remember my family said there's no way the Brexit was going to happen, but it did, because there's a set of people there that they want this purity, and they don't want any immigrants there, and there's a strong sentiment there. Let me just bring in some of the other guests, Roland. And yes, let me just speak to Elder Nkosi Zonad, and to get his thoughts on the what's happening here with the refugees. Welcome to Seram Azanke, who is watching. She's Ghanaian and living in the US. And welcome. Please give your thoughts if you're watching. We want to hear your thoughts about what is happening with the refugees who are being sent to Rwanda. Elda Nkosi Zonad, you've been living in the UK for a number of years. And can you unmute your mic and give us your thoughts about what is happening there? And do you think Rwanda is the best place to start a new life for the refugees, as they're saying? Go ahead, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, and good afternoon to the other members of the panel as well, and you, Sister Marcia.
Thank you.
There's so much history, like you see in the background, Black re-education. There's so much history that is not being put into this matter. And if you go very far back, the UK has a policy of discarding people after they have used them. Most of those people are coming from the locations that the UK and other European countries have been in, disturbed their lives. All right? Windrush, people came because they were invited to come and help Queen and country. And when they finish using them to do what they have done, they discard them. So Walter Raleigh, back in the days, there was this Black woman. The book is The Black Tudors. I have a copy here, and I went to the launching of that book. So the author of the book was speaking there, and one of the things she said that this Black woman was picked up somewhere in Africa, used and abused, and then given some ration and dumped in Indonesia. This was the times of Sir Walter Raleigh. So here Here we have a country that is full of scandal now. We just had the COVID scandal with the parties, and they seem to wiggle out, and they wiggle and they wiggle and they wiggle while people are suffering. Now, when you look at what the panelist just said, is Roland?
Yes, Roland. Yes,
Roland just said it. What they're doing, along with the political stunt, they have found an ally on the continent who's willing to do the dirty deeds. See? So is this same Paul Kagame, a couple of years ago, presided over under the inspiration of the French to murder the Hutsis, the people that normally they own that land before, and he was supervised and guided by the French in disturbing them, and Europe sat down for 100 days or more until over 1 million people died before they intervened. See how quickly they intervene in Ukraine because they're dying there.
Right.
See? They're making unknown donations from people in the society because they need to preserve their identity. But you're bringing the people onto a continent that they're not native to. You don't care. When they let loose in that space, because there is a plan, there is a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is deeply, and I'm going to take you to the Bible, is deeply embedded in the history that was given to us by Europeans, where we suppose it was their history, which was our history. And what they did, this Paul Kagame and many others on the continent, who you will see coming to the front, they're rooted in a history that Europeans know about when they got to the continent. It is long before 1884. It's long before the Messiah, not the white one that walked, the black one that walked, or the white one never left the cross. Yeah, sorry for the offense to Christians and so on, but this is a reality. This is a story presented to us, and so what they do, they have an ally in Paul Kagame because they know him. Years ago, it was his descendants that facilitated the Roman Empire when they came to conquer the continent. And people don't know that history, even on the continent. The Congolese are waking up to this reality that Rwanda is in the state it is in terms of its wealth because it was stolen from the Congo. Through the back door, they're stealing the wealth and siphoning it off. So they know when they take in refugees, they can let them loose because you said it. And the video said it, that they're backing rebels in different locations. Much like you see what was happening among the Arabs, this is the vehicle to do it on the continent. The likes of Kagame, the likes of Museveni, these, you see them, they got black skin, but you need to know the depths of those people that you see. There is no normal person that will preside over the murder of 1 million of his people. It's not his. They look like him. And so Europe knows this. So Europe goes to places like Ghana, they will go, they probably tried Kenya already, but it's not going good. But they tried Museveni. He was willing to take in people from, what was the place? Turkey?
Syria.
Syria. He wanted to take refugees from that side. Those two people look like us, but they're not of us. They're all coming to the front now, but Europe know them. That's why Europe is going to them, because Europe is hiding who they really are.
Wow. Listen, this
I don't want to take it deep there. I don't want to carry
so no, but that's good. It's good to have the history, and that is one of the reasons that I asked you to come on. And because the history is very, very important, because you're saying that this is what Britain is known to do, what the UK is known to do, to discard people. And we would have known it that, that's why we're over here.
Yes.
And that's why they treated Roland and his family in such a horrible way in terms of the Windrush scandal, and some of our relatives have been, involved in that. But we're going to come back to you, Elder, because you have touched some serious. I saw Ademi clapping, as you were talking. So you have, I'm having goosebumps. You touched some serious issues right there. Because I remember visiting Rwanda, and I'm going to share with you my thoughts of when I was in Rwanda a little later. But let me go to Mr. Ademi Hines, and while he's opening his mic, I want to ask people to give your thoughts. Give your thoughts, please, and to share. This is important. Sometimes, Roland, we're here on this side and we feel like these things don't affect us, until it gets to our doorsteps. And so I'm asking you to share the live. Curtis, welcome. Natasha, welcome. Olufemi, welcome. Everybody, Sarah, welcome. And please share, guys. And those of you who are watching on Carvision, call somebody to turn on the TV. This is important stuff here, right? Very, very important. 246 Bajan Vibes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mr. Hines, I want to hear your thoughts about this. I saw you clapping. Why are you clapping as as Elder was speaking?
Greetings. You always have to appreciate the truth. Greetings and good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon, sir.
Now, a couple of things I just want to touch on just quickly. Britain is one of the biggest sellers of weapons.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving weapons to people. They're manufacturing weapons. They're creating wars. And as a result, they're refugees. Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan. We have wars in Yemen. We have French involvement in creating conflict in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
It's all linked. Let's be very clear. Let's not beat around the bush. The plan is to take the continent. The plan is to kill the people. And then a genocide. They will supply them with weapons. They will fight each other. We will fight each other. And they'll take the resources, including the Ugandan gold.
Wow.
So let's be very clear what we're talking about here.
Hold a minute there. You're dropping some bombs here. So hold a minute, because when I looked on the map, let me see if I can bring up the map here. I know Roland will have to go soon, but just hang in there with me, Roland. I'm going to come back to you before you leave, because this guy,
I've got a few minutes.
Repeat, Roland.
I said I've got a few minutes. I'm glad it's been put in the context with the history. The history is always good to put things in context.
Yes. This is serious here. Let me just bring up this map, right? But continue to talk, continue speaking, because people need to understand the connection. And when they see how close how close they are. But keep talking while we find the map.
Yeah. Well, for example, this whole issue of the Congo. The Congo has so much resources, cobalt, coltan, and they want that. They want to control that. And in some cases at the moment, they are controlling it. So these conflicts suits their agenda. The problem that we have is that, for example, the gravitas piece actually repeats some of their narrative. It doesn't touch on the French involvement in the whole genocide, and they in fact did nothing. They allowed the genocide to happen. They encouraged it, they sanctioned it, and they allowed it to happen. So now when they talk about Rwanda this and Rwanda that, they're not talking about their involvement, as always.
Right. No, look at this map here, guys. And then I'm going to get to Steve Moore, who is a Bajan living in the UK. Mr. Hines is living in Trinidad, but he has lived in the UK for many, many years. But look at this map here, Roland. You see where Rwanda is, right?
Yes, I see.
Yes, and where the Democratic Republic of the Congo is, where there is a war there, where it is said, it's alleged that the president of Rwanda, that Rwanda is funding this war. That's the allegation. And here you have Uganda here. Uganda, where they have found 12 trillion worth of gold.
All right.
has been found in Uganda. And so I think between Elder and Adair and Mr. Hines, there seem to be making some connection here with all of what is going on. What's
Lot
your
of connection.
final word before you go, Mr. Roland? Because I know you are right now at the House of Commons, and
Right.
so I know you have to go. Go ahead, sir.
Right. Regarding that particular region, Rwanda, Congo, etc., and I'll go as far as to Ghana. Majority of the resources that is under those people's feet and are coming from under our black brothers' feet in Africa, they are not benefiting from it. Okay. A lot of these refugees, they said a lot of them are economic refugee. If they were being paid for the resources that is coming from under the feet, they would not have to be economic refugee. Ghana and all those places are very rich, and the world, I say the world selectively, not just Europe, other parts of the world, has been a parasite on the back of that particular region for hundreds upon hundreds of years. Okay, Africa has paid its price too much for too long, and it needs to be free of this economic bondage and the parasites that has been on the back of Africa for so many hundreds of years need to get off. Need to get off the back of Africa. The divide and rule has been going on for hundreds of years, and it continues. I'm not going to say Africa needs to wake up, but the world needs to wake up and understand that Africa is awake. I know there are a number of us that aren't quite awake as yet, but we are waking up. When it comes to Windrush, there's a lot that goes with it, a lot of history that goes with Windrush. A lot of people do not understand it, but in order to understand the context of Windrush and understand the context of this flight and why these flights are going to Rwanda, you need to look into the history. I know a lot of people may say it's boring, history is boring, and so on and so forth. You need to look into the context. A lot of people do not look into the history to get it, context. A lot of people do not understand Windrush and how many people has been impacted. A lot of people in Barbados may think it's a Barbadian. Jamaicans may think it's a Jamaican. A lot of people from the Commonwealth were impacted. And let's just say this quickly. A lot of the policies that were implemented then and still are being implemented now are coming from racist ideology. In terms of UK-wide, a lot of the immigration policies were brought in, especially 68 into 73 and up to 80s as well, is because of one called Enoch Powell. And those policies are brought in because Enoch Powell basically said, truly speaking, that too many black people were coming into the UK, and you need to limit the amount of black people that are coming into the UK. And that is why they brought in this policies, the Immigration Act, and policies stated that you have to have grandparents here, parent and grandparents from the UK. Who were the parents and grandparents? They were white. That is why the policy, the Immigration Act that were brought in, clauses, etc., that were brought in 68, 70s, and so on, impacted primarily people from the black Commonwealth, the Grenadians, the Jamaicans, the Ghanaians, the Nigerian, and even though Canada, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia were part of the Commonwealth, those white people, those of the red, white, and blue flags, were not affected. It's those of the black Commonwealth that were primarily affected. If you look deep enough in most of these cases, what you'll see, dig deep enough, understand the context, understand the history, you will see to the heart of it is fundamentally racism.
Yes.
Okay? I've got to rush out now. I'll leave it there for now. Thanks for the other guests that came and look into the history. And you see, as soon as they get into the history, the things start coming together. You start getting the context, because context is very important, and the
Yes.
history will put it into context. Okay?
Yeah.
So
Thank
I've
you
got to
so
rush
much,
now.
Roland. Thank you, and I will be calling on you again because
Yeah.
I want to follow what's happening there in the UK. So believe me, you're going to hear from me, and your contribution today has been invaluable, and just sharing your experience,
Yeah.
you know, of what you experienced with that scheme. I call it a scheme that they had with
Yeah.
the Windrush situation, a political scheme. And
Exactly.
but you're here to tell the tales. Thank you so
Okay.
much,
Thank you.
Mr. Hussein, for coming on, and we will stay in touch. Okay, thank you so much. So we're going to continue now our conversation, and I'm going to bring in Mr. Steve Moore. I know he's not able to open his camera. I'm assuming that's the challenge there, and I want to hear from him. And you know, why is Rwanda the best place to start a new life? What are your thoughts? You're there in Britain, in the UK at the moment, Steve. What is this? What is happening here with these refugees being sent to the UK? What are your thoughts?
Hi, Marcia. Good afternoon or good evening all.
Yes, good afternoon.
My thoughts. I'll be honest with you. The three gentlemen that speak before have taught me so much, and that saying come to my head. The more I learn, the less I know. You understand what I'm saying to you? And these guys went into the history and so on. This Rwanda thing, to be honest with you, is not a brilliant idea for what I see. Because I mean, the Eastern Europeans are just walking in from Ukraine and so on, and our people is just being given HELL. So for me, I don't trust that plan. And look at who is carrying out that plan. Look at the top person who's carrying out that plan, and you'll see why that we are the most hated people around the globe. Look and see.
So you're there in the UK. What is the sentiment on the ground there in the UK?
Well, to be honest with you, where I am right now, it's like it's way out, and it's not in any major town. So nobody's really speaking about it. And where I am right now, nobody's communicating. Where I first lived before, people, I had more friends, I had more people I could communicate with. But only being here 5 months now, there's nobody I'm communicating apart from hi and bye. You know, that's how you live here. It's different to Barbados. It's totally different. Everybody just get on with their own thing. You get on with your own thing. That's it.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Steve, for jumping in there. But I want you to hang around because we're going to talk in depth a little later about this gold that has been found in Uganda. But Mr. Hines is making a connection, which I saw this morning. I'm wondering, Marcia, is this a stretch? When I brought up the map and I looked on the map, I started to see something here. And when Elder and Mr. Hines started talking, I just started having goosebumps. And whenever that happens, I know there is a revelation. I call it a revelation, Mr. Hines. There's something connection that we have to look at it. Don't look on the surface. And that is why I'm asking you guys to share. 246 Bajan Vibes. Those of you who are watching on that, please share. This is education, as Elder has behind him, Black re-education. We have to understand and read the times and see what is happening, and don't take things at face value. Share this live, please. Let me go to Elder. Elder, continue, please. What is? Do you see any connection when some of our guests or some of our viewers are saying this is part of a strategy, a plan? Their plan to take over the continent. What are your thoughts about that?
Sister Marcia, you know my position. And I'm feeling very prophetic right now. And I'm saying that I'm going to come to Barbados because Barbados is part of this plan. Your country did not get release from the UK easily because UK is nice and just want to free. Your country, listen carefully, this is strategy. When Britain left the EU, Britain stepped aside to become empire again. Your prime minister is part of the plan. That was a reward for her future role in enslaving you on that same country there.
That's correct.
Things have changed hands. You're sitting there, but this is the reality. And sometimes I find it very, it's difficult to really say all that I can say.
No, you can say what you need to say on the show. Yeah. You need to say, because we need to Black Re-Education. I know that's not the name of the show, but your show is called Black Re-Education, and I know you're onto something else. So say what you have to say and teach us.
Shortly after we had that show that I rebroadcast, when I talk about the DNA, I did a show that Adam's DNA is different to Cain's DNA, and that Jesus, the white boy's DNA, is the same DNA as Cain. And they come after the music that I play on this keyboard here, right here, saying that I'm playing somebody else's music. But I know what's the content. And they banned me for a week. And that's why I told you how we need to set going other places. This content that I'm bringing is not ordinary. And what Britain has decided to do, she's going to step aside from the EU so that she can become empire again. And all of them, she's leading the way to bring all of them back in empireship. No country on this earth can rule and have wealth and declare themselves first world and another group third world, except they have the blessings of Abraham. You see, sub-Saharan Africa, sub-Saharan, Sarah, Haran, her father, biblical. You see that land where we were taken from? That is your holy land. That's the Bible in the Holy Land.
So let's take it back, Elder, to this what's happening right now. I mean, we're told that the flight was canceled today. Actually, it was supposed to leave today, but some lawyers and got involved, and the flight was canceled because the thinking was that they didn't have any legal representation. Those that were going. Go ahead. You were saying something.
You got 7 people on a flight. You get to see the size of that plane. You see the size of that plane? Flying 7 people. Then think.
At the cost of £500,000.
Say it again.
At the cost of £500,000.
£500,000 to travel to take 7 people.
No, £500,000. No, £500,000. That's the cost of the flight.
Wow.
500,000 is the cost of the flight.
Right. So now, when you see that, you know that this is a game. This is a chess game. They're positioning people on the continent that they will continue to ferry from the war zone whom they have radicalized. They're going to put them in the society so that they will not be accused of doing the evil on the continent this time to access the wealth. It will be the people that they will bring.
Let me hear Mr. Hines. Ademi Hines, what are your thoughts about that? You guys have me rocking in my chair here, man, because people see the things and they're not connecting the dots. Go ahead, Mr. Hines.
Sorry.
Oh, he dropped off there, but we'll continue, Elder, until he comes on, because you were talking about the Barbadian Prime Minister and saying basically they're using her as a puppet.
She is a puppet. Look, these are the puppets. In your Bible, you know that Herod was a puppet to Rome and the Greeks. Now, this is the Bible playing again. She's a puppet to the Europeans. Paul Kagame is a puppet to the Europeans. Muzovenga is a puppet to the Europeans. It's the same game is playing over again. Back then, Ghana was playing the same game like they're playing now. That's how we get sold. We were sold because they were willing participants among our people to sell. And Europe is playing the same game all over. Like China is part of Eurasia, and China step aside so she can invade Africa. She has positioned herself. Now the next thing is to bring in the other Europeans, like 1884. Different. You wouldn't get to notice them. in 1884 was all of Europe came in. Now you're seeing a strategy. The Arabs are leading and the Asians are leading this strategy for the recolonization of this continent. So you know why the wealth has to be exposed. Now this is prophetic now, very prophetic. It is the creator Sunini Nanini that is exposing this wealth. He has to bring it up on the surface. You remember he showed the mountain of gold in the Congo a couple of months ago. Then he showed the second largest diamond in the world coming out of Botswana. Then there were some people in Lady Smith in South Africa finding quartz, and then the white geologist said, oh, it's not diamonds. Yeah. And he keep unearthing the uranium in Tanzania. He's unearthing the wealth. He's got to bring it to the surface so that everybody could know that this is the promised land that he gave to Abraham and Abraham's children, you black people, that was scattered by the transatlantic slave trade, so that you can go home and take charge of your possession. That's why they tried to kill you out here. Get rid of you so that they can have access to the land.
Right. So wow. So what it is. Let me hear. Let me just read what some people are saying. I know Mr. Hines is trying to get back in. Here, Olufemi Sandy is saying there after the land given to Abraham, Isaki to Akobe to us, the 12 kingdoms. We need to wake up Bantu. He's saying Leo Wright said they're coming after the resources. Guys, wake up and see what's happening. You know, of all the places that they would send refugees, why would they send them to Rwanda? You know, look at this, guys. You know, are they trying to radicalize them? Is it what's going on? And Pam is saying the migration will continue, will happen in BIM too. And guys, what are your thoughts? What are you learning on the show? Are you making the connection on the show today? Let me know. Put your thoughts and share the live. Because listen, we're not going to listen to what we hear on CNN. You're not going to hear this on CNN. Okay, so we needed to share the live. I'm really hoping Mr. Ademi Hines could get back in. Mr. Hines, could you try your phone? If you're using your laptop, try your phone. If you're using your phone, you try your laptop. Try a different device, okay? Now, can you said that this Prime Minister here, Mia Mottley, is connected to this plan that they have, that the UK has this plan. And so can you make the connection? What can you spell out the connection for us here in the Caribbean? Because she is a connection, I believe, that they have to us here. And they're using Kagame, Paul there in Rwanda. Okay, yes. So what is it, or how are they?
And they need the man in Ghana. And they need the man in South Africa. Those are the big weights that they need.
So that's all this connection that we're having with Ghana. Barbados having with Ghana. Oh my gosh.
You see Ghana coming to you. You see Kenya coming to you. You see South Africa coming to you. Now, those are the big ones. They need to, once they hold those powers, that's the education that they give us. So we become slaves, and we think we got a doctorate, and so we become, something of quality. You've become a slave. So they're calling on these slave minds now, promising them what they need to be promised. Now, she can become president. She can become president if you want now, because she's free from Britain. Not free. The mental slavery is there. The psychological tie is there. Rwanda is a facilitator of European powers on the continent. Even the man in the Congo is not waking up, because he is now appointed Jean-Claude Van Damme to be an ambassador to young Bantu boys and girls on the continent. Now that's the relatives of King Leopold II, who murdered between 15 to 20 million Congolese or people.
So they're using Kagame on the continent, and also the president in Ghana. And what role do you think Motley is playing here in the Caribbean?
She's going to influence the black nations in the Caribbean. She's the influence there. She's got a role. This role that they're playing, it is rooted in sexuality and all of these things. So you get where I'm coming from. Yeah. So They position themselves, and so they're going to pull this net in to
Yes.
strangle Africa. Now, look, a couple of just recently in the conversation, they said 2%. Africa only, the man in Ghana said it because he probably seen a bit of light and tries to back out now. 2% of the pollution in the world comes from Africa. Now they see all this wealth, and they saw it before Museveni saw it in Uganda. They saw all this wealth in Africa. They need to get rid of those Africans. See? And so the oil, they're going to have to buy the oil now. They're going in with hands. With this war that Putin has started, Putin is like a little savior now. Because that thing that he's doing is bringing this thing out to the fore. This is what the creator is doing, bringing it to the fore. This war in the Ukraine, is putting a stab wound in this process, because now you get to see the famine that will take place now and the starvation. They need this wealth. So they've gone electric. This is what Europe has done. Europe has gone electric to develop less dependency on fossil fuel, then turn around to tell all of Africa and the Caribbean that will find fossil fuel that don't mine it, because you are the now polluters. You 2% is polluting these people that been doing it. Right?
Wow. And you know the thing about it, I know for sure that this that our prime minister here is a foot soldier, for them, you know, on as it relates to that. You know, let me bring in Mr. Hines here. And Mr. Hines, can you continue? You were making the connection with this $12 trillion worth of gold that has been discovered in Uganda. Do you think, can you elaborate a little bit more on this scheme? This scheme that the UK, you know, is sending these refugees to Rwanda. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, it's as plain as day. The strategy is not new. You know, they've been working this strategy for some time now. Hence, we have conflicts all over the continent. You know, they're actually financing some of them. They're sending in militias in some of them. They're training some of them. We've got all kind of people in there at the moment. The strategy and the plan is the same, is to take the continent. So don't let's be in doubt about that. But I would like to take us back a bit. The hostile environment that the UK has created, again, has been a strategy. In 1984, I wrote a booklet, I co-wrote a pamphlet called Why Deportation is a Trade Union Issue. And in that, we looked at the history of deportation out of the country. One of the things that people don't know, in 1601, Queen Elizabeth made a royal proclamation to gather all the Africans and the black and Moors off the streets of London. And they gathered them up, they have a thing, they chain gang them and took them off the streets of London. They put them on a ship and sent them off somewhere. A lot of them found their way back. So it's not the first time that they've tried to exit us out of the UK. And all the way along the line, since then, from Powell to all the changes in the Immigration Act, the latest strategy now is where they have stopped them. They've used the Human Rights Act, which were their signatories to the European Parliament, to block them. But they're already in the process of changing and pulling out of the Human Rights Act. So they're taking that power on themselves so they can do what they want. You know? So we need to be very aware. The people we're dealing with have no morals. They have no morality. You know, they have a plan and they're working that plan. And as long as we continue to sleep and not to pay attention to everything that's happening around us, I think John Henry Clark says they will enslave us again, and that's the plan. No? So we need to be very, very aware, and everything that's happening is part of it. We talked about the Windrush generation. One of the things that I told them, I grew up in Barbados singing "God Save the Queen" every morning in school. I got to England, nobody sang "God Save the Queen." They fooled us to get us there, telling us about who we are. When we get there, we find out there's no such thing. You know? So even today, some of us are still confused. Some of us still believe that even as an independent country, Barbados believe it's an independent nation. No, you've got a flag and a national anthem, but that's about all that you've got, and that's with the loss of us. So all I'm saying to you is that each stage is that there's a planning working, and they're working assiduously towards it at every stage. Everything that's happening is in the plan.
You know, guys, you know what is interesting, Elder, is I'm going to bring in Steve soon, but what is interesting is the fact that there are, and it's a fact, I researched it, there are Rwandans refugees that are going to the UK. And so the big question is why, guys? Think about it. Why is this so important for Rwanda to be receiving refugees when there are refugees leaving Rwanda to try to find a safe place in the UK and other countries? Why would a plane? I don't have the picture of the plane here. Let me see so you can see this big plane. It's a big plane. I'm looking to see if I have the picture here. But here's a UK. I don't have the picture of the plane right here, but UK is here. 4,000 miles. They are taking refugees from UK to Rwanda. And as we are told here that it's a big plane and they only had 7 persons to be on the plane and paying £500,000. Is that correct, Mr. Hines?
That's correct. Yeah.
500,000 pounds. Guys, begin to think about what this really means. What are they really doing? Is a question that we really need to look at. And I just, before you comment again, I want to show people the map. And I want those in the diaspora to look and see what is happening here, guys. Look at this map, and you will see how closely how close the countries are connected. Look, this is Rwanda here. Okay, this is Rwanda. All the big unrest in Africa here is in the DRC right now, where it's saying that Rwanda is funding this war in the DRC. That is the allegation. Look where Uganda is. This is Uganda is right here, guys. Right here, right there. And this is where the 12 trillion worth of gold.
Marcia.
Yes, go ahead, Steve.
If you draw a line from coast to coast, straight past Rwanda and the DRC, that is the straight they want to take. You understand? Because that's where the high minerals, gold, diamond, the lot is. You understand? And that's what they're going to do. So they're actually going to split Africa into more or less 2 different continents or 3 different continents, with them controlling the wealthy area.
Wealth, yeah. So this is a plan. So guys, what I think my guests are saying, that there is something sinister here. It is not just that they are just wicked, in the sense that they don't want them in the country. Yes, they're wicked, but they're after. It's about money. Elder, I see you're swinging. What do you want to say, Elder?
You know, this what you're seeing is Europe sending in its mercenaries. You see these men that they're bringing in. These are soldiers. These people that they tell you is refugees. These are soldiers. You know, when they did it to us at the beginning, Miriam Makeba said they allowed them onto the land because they were going around the place that they call False Bay, which is the Sea of Galilee, and they came on there, and the Cossack people gave them meat and supplies and so on. And the next thing they knew, they come onto the land, took away the land from them, make them apartheid. No, they needed a church. The church was the vehicle. The church was the embassy. You would hear we singing back in the days, we are Christ's ambassadors. You see, the church was really an embassy that get on there, do the reconnaissance, send back the information to Europe. Those all European churches, Orthodox and all of them. And they were operating as mission stations, which is ambassadors, which are embassies. Now, you will see them quickly now. So they're positioning mercenaries on the continent to start conflict. And these people are merciless. They don't like children and they don't like Black people. No matter what we speak here, none of us will leave this room and go and hurt any human or a dog out there. Not to these nations. They want this land. Look, Europe is quickly descending into a third world state. You see the inflation?
Wow.
You see that jet that fly in, that was wanting to fly in 7 people there? Every day, 747 jets without seats fly into the Democratic Republic of the Congo to remove minerals every single day. And now that the people are waking up, this can happen easily. And Europe is slipping back into obscurity. This is what the Creator is doing. And if we don't join with him and unite and go back to where we come from, it's just a few of us will make it.
Yeah. You know, you're touching on a point there, because I want to talk to everybody who is listening. I want us to talk about what do we do here in the diaspora, because, you know, Mr. Hines, a lot of times, and Steve, we see these things happening and we don't, for whatever reason, we don't make any connection. We don't even look into it. You know, we do nothing at all. So we are hearing here, you know, about this gold that has been discovered. All right. So I want us to go into that a little bit, because I want people to really understand what is going on. And oh my God, if we could just wake up. If we could just wake up, or as well, Elder is saying we are waking up. But us here in the diaspora, I believe that we got to come together. There is something that we are going to need to do. Right?
Yeah.
There's something that we're going to need to do. So let's just look at this here before we and those of you who are watching, I want to hear your thoughts, guys. I want to hear your thoughts. I want us thinking. You know, I want us to be thinking and not don't just take in stuff. Sit down. And this morning I sat down, and as soon as I heard what was happening in Uganda, I started to put the thing together, put some thought together. Here is the article. Came out on June 8th in Reuters. Says Uganda says exploration results shows it has 31 million tons of gold ore. Now, my research, I mean, I don't know if my guests can correct me if I'm wrong, but I found that they said that only 244,000 metric tons of gold have been discovered in the world. China, Australia, and South Africa. US, to some extent, they're the fourth on the list. But South Africa is in there. China, Australia, South Africa, right? But yet still, look at this, 31 million tons. Do we understand that this would make Uganda right up there, almost one of the richest countries in the world? Uganda on Wednesday said recent exploration surveys have shown it has gold ore deposits of over 31 million tons, and it wants to attract big investors to develop this sector hitherto dominated by small wildcat miners. Over the last 2 years, aerial exploration was done across the country, followed by geophysical and geochemical surveys and analysis. Solomon Muyuta, spokesperson for the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, told Reuters. Muyuta said an estimated 321,158 tons of refined gold could be extracted from the 31 million tons of ore. Now, this 321,158 tons is what we need to actually compare to the 244,000 tons that have been developed in the world. Now, right away, this is about 1.5 more than what has been in the world. So can you imagine what's going on in the minds of these people and why they would be, Rwanda would be so important and the Congo would be so important to them? Most of the deposits were discovered in Karamoja, a parched, sprawling area in the country's northern corner of the border with Kenya. Large reserves were also found in eastern, central, and western areas of the Eastern African country, right? And it goes on, right? It goes on to say, though, that there's a section here that Muata said a Chinese company has set up a mine in Busia in eastern Uganda and is expected to start production this year. You're listening? Wagagi had invested 200 million, he said, and its mine will have a refining unit. So, I think that this is such a discovery. This is such a discovery. I tell you, I'm worried for Uganda. I'm worried for that section of Africa. Elder, jump in.
It's not the section of Africa. When you read the Bible, you know that the Battle of Armageddon is taking place on that continent, not very far from there. This is the story unveiling in front of your eyes. You think that volume of gold, Britain could sit by, Russia could sit by, who got people in Djibouti, China, who's positioned herself already for it.
Oh my gosh.
You think this is positioning? He says he's hooking them with hook in the jaw. You read it in your Bible, and pull them to the valley of Jehoshaphat. There he will plead with them for his children whom they had sold. They're going to come for the gold.
That's what this thing is about, guys. This thing is about this gold.
Deep. Sister Marcia, could I tell you, you need to do part 2. And may I introduce you to my second show will be on Rwanda. Not Rwanda, yes. Uganda. I've got now Breath news channel, which I will deal with political, social issues separate from the religious, because you notice me crossing over steady. So I want to separate it. You see, as a people, you and I were put in the Caribbean because we were the kings and the queens on the continent. In the 1200s and the 1300s, when Europeans started coming around, they knew and they got the maps. Now we got them, right? They saw shared castles on the continent. That's who we are, kings and queens. They give us a version of our history that has kept us in this position for so long. Yeah? This time has come to an end in 2020. This is Genesis chapter 15. Know for a surety that your people will be strangers in a land that is not theirs, and the nation whom they will serve will afflict them 400 years. They changed the calendar to hide it. And right in the midst of the calendar, the Most High put 2020. At the bunt of 2020, 20 times 20 is 400. He turned our captivity. He turned it around. They know who we are. So the program is genocide.
Wow.
We have to fight for this goal.
But listen, Mr. Hines, genocide, and look where they're sending the people to train them. Oh my gosh, guys!
I think there's a couple of things that we also need to remember. At the moment, there's a lot of thing about Glencore and the pollution from gold mining, etc. So not only will they extract the gold, they will pollute the surrounding areas for people to live in, and that's a big problem at the moment. We
Mhm.
also need to remember, um, what's his name? Margaret Thatcher's son,
Hmm.
when they finance mercenaries to go and take over an African country, to get their oil. You
Yes.
know, so all we have to do is to draw um, some of the lessons, and we'll see what's going on. Let's talk a bit about what needs to be done, because one of the things that I'm always pleased about, there are people in the UK who know exactly what's going on. They know what's going on. They've made the links and they protest. One of the reasons why, the flight to stop, civil society, you've heard the churches come out. I even hear Charles have come and said something about it. There are people there who've made the links between what's happening, between the arms sales, between the actions of the government, and what is happening around the place. And they're actively um, participating. They, they attempted to deport I think he's from Zimbabwe the other day. And mass people got in front of the immigration officers and van, and there was a standoff in Peckham for 5 hours. And in
Hmm.
the end, the police and the immigration officers had to get out. They had to release him. So
Hmm.
there are things happening, but I must say to you, you're not seeing Africans among them, mainly white. You're not
Right,
seeing
that you're
African.
so right, because even when I saw the protests against them going to sending the refugees to Rwanda, I was surprised. Majority of the protesters were white,
Well,
and that's
that's not uncommon. Marcia, we have to understand that's not uncommon. I've been involved in those deportation campaigns or
mhm.
anti-deportation campaigns. You know, and I can tell you, you know, that there are those who are very aware and they know what's going on. They know
Mhm.
what the ruling party are like. The problem is at the moment there are those who are used to lies. They believe liars, till the truth starts to hit them in their face, and even then they still stick it out because they have a false perception of what reality is. They still believe that Britain is an empire. They still believe that we're coming and taking what's theirs. That false narrative still exists, and that's what drives them. That's why the Conservative Party at the moment, they're taking over from the right wing, because I saw the right wing in Europe coming up and in England coming up. So they want to take back that ground. Elections coming.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. Oh my. This is so good. Honestly, I'm the host and I'm so excited about the show. And I'm asking everybody to share, because I had something else planned for today. But when I saw this, when I saw what drew me first was about this goal to Uganda, in Uganda. And then when I saw about the taking the refugees, and that today was the day, and something started to quicken inside of me, and I saying, go and look at the map, because I don't know the map of Africa very well, to be honest. And I looked at it and I said, hold a minute, there is a plan here. But I said it to no one, just inside. So to me, coming on the show and hearing from you guys and seeing that connection. But I wanna hear from Elder. You know
You
what,
know,
we have another 40 minutes, and I want to use this time to talk about what do we do, what do we in the diaspora do. We are seeing that what they want to this is what they want to do with Africa. They want to go in, and they have their plan to go in and take this gold from them, take all the minerals out of that area, out of Uganda, out of the Congo. because that's where the big fighting is in the Congo at this moment. What do we do, us here in the diaspora? What do we do? Go ahead, Elder.
See, if we understand, this is identity. It starts with your identity. Who are you? Why, wherever you are, listen to the words of Hugo Chavez. Listen to the words of Maurice Bishop. What did they try to do? Listen to the voice of Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, and recently John Pompe Magufuli. What did they try to do? They tried to do good for their people. They didn't mind sharing some of this thing, right? But that's not Europe. Europe wants to own everything because Europe needs to have these children as slaves to itself. And the only way they can do that now is to use some of us.
Yes.
What is our position? What do we do? Who are we first? Identity. When you get that question answered, where did you come from? Why were you taken from Africa? You didn't come from Israel. But this is the religion that misguided you. You came from Africa. You had everything, and it was taken from you. But you don't even want to hear about Africa. Now, you have this word used now, diaspora, as though it's like a favor, like some kind of kindness to the people on the continent. Because you now have achieved a little better more. Those people share your DNA, and you share their DNA. You were divided so that you can be ruled. You are separated because you can't be managed easily, especially you that came into the Caribbean, us.
Yes. Because
we were that group that would have reconstituted this kingdom of the Creator a long time, where righteousness ruled. Europe don't like righteousness. Europe have a glass toasting at a party and getting a fine and still don't understand that it's because you've been at a party. You understand the nature of that behavior. It doesn't have morals. None at all. And it does not care. And it does not hide it. You saw when we start talking about this snake bite, how they were up in arms to get rid of this conversation. You saw your prime minister. You saw the other one in St. Vincent. Even when there was a volcano, the Most High created it to get the people off the island. He said, they take the vaccine before you go on the plane, on the boat. This is who we're dealing with. These mercenaries have been set and positioned around us. Some look like us, but they're not of us. And therefore, we got to unite very quickly. You're in diaspora. You are of one father. You have one people. You have one nationality, one nation. And you have one destiny. And your destiny is being perverted by Europe. All the time. It's the same people doing the same thing.
So, Elder, you're saying that one of the things that we can do, number one, is to find our identity, who we are, and unite around that identity. Let me hear from Mr. Hines. Mr. Hines, what are you suggesting? What do we do as a diaspora? Do we sit down and like I'm here hitting my head like, oh my God, this is what is going on. What are we going to do? You know, we're here. What are we going to do? What else can we do apart from identity and uniting around that identity?
Well, Master, it's liberty. We have to begin to live it every day. We have to continue to do what you do. What you're doing now is bringing education. You know, you're teaching people, you're showing people what's going on. We have to continue to do that. We have to continue to expose. But we also need to deal with some of our young people as well, or children, because they're the ones who are coming after us. We need to educate them. That strategy, in my mind, has been the most successful over the years. I am not at age where I see some of the young ones who's come behind me, and they've taken up the mantle, and they're doing wonderful things. So I, as elder, will support them and continue to support them, continue to help to educate them, you know, and it's happening all around us. We can be of a mind that nothing is happening.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
It's happening every day, everywhere. Within the last week, I've spoken to people from all over the continent, all over the Caribbean on different matters. We've been talking about Ethiopia, you know, and circumstances and situation are forcing action.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes when your back is up against the wall, you begin to take action.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so it might, in some people it might just be a one little action, but every little bit builds up. Every little bit helps.
Mm-hmm.
The most
Wow.
important thing in my mind, in terms of the bigger agenda, we need to continue to expose what's going on at all levels. You know, so what's happening on the continent? You know, there's so much going wrong in terms of they're abusing the people. In terms of, you know, there are people in DRC working for $1 a day while people are making billions.
Yes.
You
Wow.
know, and that's been going on for a long time. That's not just now. You know,
Mm-hmm.
let me take you back. In 1983, I wrote a short article called what is it? Stop giving me charity and pay me for my resources.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so at the moment, if they give Africa uh, 90 billion in help, they extract 300 billion in
Yes.
resources.
Resources. Yeah. Yeah.
The one way to solve this whole scenario is to be paid for the goods and services that they take out. Then they wouldn't have to give nothing. But
Uh-huh.
it's also about convincing them, right? So we talked a bit about reparations, right? And people say, "Oh, I'm hearing Europeans say, oh, you're asking for a handout." No, they owe us.
It's
They
what
have a
right.
debt.
Is what belongs to us. So you are saying, as Kenzie Saint Hilaire, welcome
Mm,
Kenzie. He's saying we do what we're doing now. Bring awareness, educate the people, and with that knowledge alone, one can fully grasp the prophetic nature of what's happening.
mm,
Agreed. We can do that.
mm,
Let me just go to and I want to publicly thank you, Mr. Hines. I was talking to my husband about you this today, and I want to publicly thank you for the education that I've received from you over the last year and a half or 2 years that we are connected, and we have never met each other. I've learned so much. You spit so much knowledge on the show, and also Elder. I mean, I am sitting with great people here, and I consider you elders. And I want to publicly thank you because, we get off a lot of times, unless a white man tells us things we don't really believe. And here on the show, there's so much knowledge that went out this afternoon, the connecting the dots. And that's why I'm asking people to share it and to regard those who we have in our midst. Regard them. Understand that the Most High gives them a revelation regardless. Mr. Ademi Hines, I think he's from a Rastafari faith, and Mr. and Elder, I don't know, Elder is spiritual. Elder mash up the Christianity, everything. Elder
You
is
know,
biblical. I say Elder is biblical, and he brings so much knowledge. And that's why, guys, I'm saying don't sit on here and don't share this live. Sharing the live is not about me. It's about this education that we're giving to others, you know. But Elder, before you go, let me hear from Steve. Steve, what are your thoughts about what needs to happen in us in the diaspora? What can we do with this kind of revelation? And we're seeing how they're positioning themselves to take the wealth and the minerals out of Africa. You know, they're organizing themselves, even with these Rwanda, sending the refugees to Rwanda, training up mercenaries and all of that. These are what are the things we're seeing. What are your thoughts, Steve, on what we need to do, us here in the diaspora, what we need to do?
Marcia, we need to take the world a lot more serious than we are. We take it for a joke thing. We so much into the booze, partying, and that sort of nonsense. Every couple of weeks is another distraction for us, and we need to stop being distracted with foolish partying and so on, and ignorance, to be honest with you. And I'm talking about this crop over thing, because there's a lot that's going to happen before this crop over thing can happen. And Bajans need to wake up, and people across the Caribbean need to wake up and forget about this party and nonsense, and really start looking at the world as very, very serious. This is very, very serious times that we're in, and we are getting ready to party rather than looking at these things. You know, there's something wrong with us. We need to wake up, and really, really wake up quick, because these people is plowing ahead at 100 miles an hour, and we are still in bed while these people are gone.
So you're saying that they're partying, you know, all of this partying and all the fetes and especially us in the Caribbean. I tell you, we are one people that all no matter what happening around us, once we can party, we good. Trinidad for sure. Once
Marcia,
there's a party, we be happy. Yes, go ahead, Steve.
Look and see what they've done. We are in a land where we create, we make the one stuff that destroys us. Spirits destroy our spirit. All right, and then we go partying and so on, and we wash our tears, our sorrows, and go home and sleep it off, and the same thing next day. This is very serious. You know, and we are not seeing it. We are not seeing it, but it is there for everybody to see.
Right.
The Europe and America is on their agenda while we are sleeping, and that's the truth.
Yeah. You know, you're so right. I love what you said. That Europe and they're and America, they're on their agenda, and while we are sleeping, we are partying and sleeping. Let me just show you a quick video before I go back to Elder. I know he's coming with something loaded for us, but just hang on there. We're coming. Let me just show you a little video on what I think this is an African in the U.S. Have to say about what's happening. Let's see if I can bring it here.
Uganda just found a gold deposit, 320 million tons of gold digging. And you guessed it, everybody want their dibs on it. And the president said the time for Uganda exporting all of their gold is over. With this deposit in Uganda, they have just became one of the wealthiest countries on the planet overnight. You think that, and United States, them trying to talk about sanctioning them because they don't want to give the United States none. The United States don't want no African country to rise. They finna start a war with Uganda. You know they finna come in and start assassinating people. You know what's finna happen. They not finna have no, and they not in on it. They can't control it. 320 million tons of gold they just found, worth an estimated $12.8 trillion. Do you know what they thinking about getting their hands on all of that? Kill everybody. they'll unleash hell on earth to keep them people, them black Africans from ever rising. You got one that's creating the TV with no power, a car with no power, one running on water, and now they got gold beyond belief. 300, they said that's the estimated. They sure it could be more. $12.8 trillion. That's enough to rebuild an entire country. They're not going to let that happen. You know what's going to happen. Stay tuned for watch this. Watch the oppression of Uganda come up, because they just struck gold, literally.
Oh my lordy, my lordy, my lordy, my lordy. Elder. Oh
let me put some perspective for us tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When Joshua lotted out the land, you see that land in Uganda?
Mm-hmm.
That is the land of Reuben in your Bible. Next to Reuben is Gad. Take off the CH, just put the G there. You'll see God. It's hidden in plain
Instead
sight.
of Chad. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So this, you're talking about the wealth of Abraham. It said to Abraham, I will bless them that bless you. I'm just using that word loosely, bless. And I will curse them that curse you. You are the source of the blessings for the whole earth. Where do you think that is? You think that is in Israel? This is sub-Saharan. What they tell you they find is times upon times more than that. And let me tell you, they ain't getting it this time.
So your elder, you believe that they're not going to get it.
This is war break. This is where the war is going to be. Don't worry with Ukraine. Don't worry with China and Japan and them places. There's nothing there. This is where it is. Armageddon. Megiddo is in West Africa.
And I mean, China has already positioned themselves. The first there, right there in Uganda, the first set of people, 200 million they have invested to start mining in Uganda.
The Chinese say to the other part of the family, because it's Eurasia, yeah? They say, you been in front the last time. You did take over the continent in 1884 and before. We time. We need to rewrite the Bible. That's why they got to rewrite the Bible. That's why the Chinese want to do it. Everybody that touched that book is suppressing the history of the black people. That's your story. Get out of that church thing, please. Get out of that thing. That is your captivity.
So elder, controversial on me. So elder said, elder telling. So one of the things that we're talking about, what are we going to do as black people?
Leave the
religion. Come out of the
religion of the Europeans. It's not doing nothing for you. It's designed to enslave you. You know the first one of the ships, the name Jesus. And we used to sing it. Take the whole world, just give me Jesus. Now they're doing it. They're taking the whole world. You take Jesus.
That's correct. That's correct.
Lord of mercy. Elder, you won't let them kill me. So listen. Elder is saying, I didn't say it. It's Elder is saying to throw in the church thing, because that is what they're going to give it. They're taking out. They say they will take the whole world, but they're going to give you Jesus. So you take on to Jesus.
That's correct, Marcia. This religion thing, Marcia, have destroyed our people, and we are still fighting among one another because of this religion nonsense. And that's the truth.
All the religions, they made them to control you and me.
Exactly. No religion is a concept from God. It's a concept of man. All of these religions, all are man-made concepts.
So we're talking about what the diaspora should do. And one was, you talked about identity, uniting around, first of all, know who we are, know what our identity is, and then we need to unite around the identity. Mr. One second, Steve. Mr. Hines talked about education and bringing awareness, which is important, like what we're doing now and what Elder is doing and what Steve is doing. We're all doing it in different ways, so we need to continue that. And then now we're talking about, the role of religion and understand how they use that. to take what is rightfully ours. And this morning, I was saying to my husband, when I look at all the preachers that are in Africa, when I look at the prophets that are in Africa, and what concerns me is that they have no current word or connection with what is happening in the Congo. They don't have any connection with what is happening. They have nothing to say about what is happening in Rwanda. They are not connected with what is happening with happening in Uganda. I messaged a pastor to come on the show to talk about what is happening in Uganda, Ugandan pastor. He didn't even respond. And this is my concern with what is going on. They have these millions of people at their disposal, and they're not educating the people. They're not using the position they have to educate the people. And so, in that, I for one, I can't, I'm not a religious person. I have a relationship with the Most High God, and nobody is going to take that relationship with me, from me. But when I look and see what is happening in the church, and these prophets, these different people who are coming from Africa, and they have no current word about what is, no revelation knowledge about anything, I can't listen to them. I'm sorry, I can't listen to them.
They will tell you a prophet, they'll tell you some prophecy about the Ukraine.
Yes.
But they will tell you a prophecy in Ukraine because you can never see it. These ones, they go to the shrine. They go to the shrine before they come to the church. They're more afraid than the priests in the shrine than they're afraid of JC. Yeah. Better know that.
Wow.
So let the brother speak.
Yes, Steve, where is Steve? Where is Steve?
He just dropped off.
Okay, Mr. Hines, you're there?
No, he said his power is lost is charging minutes. You left me alone, sorry.
But yeah, but I hope Steve gets back on. Okay, good. He's on. Good. Steve is on. Hi, Steve. Steve, you there?
Hi, Marcia.
Yes, Steve. Good to have you again. You were making a point because remember what we're talking. We want to be positive, so we're talking about in this last couple what we need to do here in the diaspora with what we see happening with it right now in the center, right there in the east of Africa. Is that east central? Would we say that's east central, guys? Is that
east?
Marcia, we people in the Caribbean, and all people in the Caribbean and the United States of America have been robbed of what you call your nationality, because everybody knows using that word. Your nationality is your identity, and a lot of us don't know who we are. You understand? And we need to start searching to find it, to get our footing back together. We need to stop being divided over ignorance, trivial things. This world is a very, very serious world. This world ain't got no time for party poopers and drinkers.
What's that?
You understand? That's what's going on. We need to understand that this world is very, very serious. So all of these people that jumping up and hollering out and doing this and doing that, they're missing the point badly, because their eyes are still shut and they're not looking. But then again, too, what we find is that they've put us in an education system, and that's got us now even way behind in ignorance, along with the church. And a lot of people don't get it. I myself only start learning in the last 10 years. Before that, I didn't know nothing at all. Now I'm learning. How many people out there can admit that they don't know nothing? As I say, the more I know, the more I learn, the less I know. And that's the truth.
Yeah. I mean, and it's good to hear you say that. I too, in the last 2 years, I would say, since this pandemic, and I was traveling up and down with my film. And in the last 2 years, I've had to stay home. And then you stay home in the garden, you're thinking, have more time to think and to study. And I'm like, my God, I so many things I'm learning every day when I come on the show. I tell the people laugh at me. I always have a book, and I'm taking notes. I'm like a sponge because I'm learning and relearning. I'm being re-educated. And I think this is why I ask people to share the life, because this is so important, and many times what we get is from CNN. What we get is from Reuters. What we get is from the BBC. We don't stop and try to dig a little deeper for ourselves. Yes, you might hear something there, but go beyond that and look beyond that, and so that, yes, who is speaking?
Yes, me. Look again at the programming that they're doing with people in Barbados. In almost every business in Barbados you walk into, there's a television screen, and what is it playing? CNN. It's psychological warfare they're putting on you in Barbados right now. Look and see, they're playing CNN, the banks, all these places where you got to congregate and do business. There's always a television with CNN on it, because they want you to buy that narrative. Why are we trying to? We are the only people who always want to be something that we are not. We always want to take other people's reign and run with it. And we need to stop
I
that.
think that's where the re-education comes in. That's where, as Mr. Hines was talking about, that's where the awareness needs to happen at every, any moment that we can use to teach our young people about who we are. What Elder is talking about, Elder Nkosi, the identity is important. Now, before we close, I want us to look at this, what's happening in Burkina Faso here, guys, because this is all in Africa. There's so much turmoil that is happening there in Africa, and yet still we would not hear about this. We're not going to hear about this on their, somebody said, their 10 Live Vision TV. we're not gonna hear about that. So let me hear Elder. Elder, did you hear about this? What's happening in Burkina Faso? Because they have 7 years this is happening there. Go ahead.
Right. You see, look, the people, Burkina Faso sits on a hot belt. It's the land where Abraham's father lived. It's still named Tira. It's still in the land of Tira. Yeah? It's still the land of Tira. That's where Abraham lived. Now, those people still live between there, but Europe has put in borders and they've cut up this land in a way that deliberately leave these people with conflicts. That's created by Europe. And then Europe goes back in and fuel this conflict. They divide this land in a way that has now left conflict. They do it all over the world. They do it in Guyana. So Guyana got conflict with Venezuela. They leave these things deliberately because they will come back. This is that demon that left the house. And then you sweep it out clean, but you didn't occupy it. So the demon passes back and see that the house is clean but unoccupied. So he goes and he brings 7 demons stronger than himself to come and occupy the house, so that this time it's going to be worse than the first. They will kill every single one of us if we don't get together very quickly. Once you feel like this, and your ancestors came from Africa, you are children of Abraham that needs to go back to the land. That is the only place that the blessing's there. This is temporary outside here.
Right.
See, in 2020, this is how much love the Father has for us. We need to leave the religion. In 2020, you said that you began to learn a couple of things, right?
Yes.
Because you got a DNA upgrade. Is that DNA upgrade that they tried to prevent when they did the Keter, the crown, the corona? They tried to prevent that. They know it's coming because you warned them. He said, when the time reach, I'm going to pour my spirit upon the children, the Bantu people, and they will start rising, that you can't stop them from rising.
And so that's why you're saying that they're not going to get the gold.
They can't get it. This war is a bigger one than you ever think. This is Armageddon that you
So
read in the
it's
Bible.
setting up for something really big,
It's
because I
right
mean,
there.
when you look at how much gold it is, guys, the gold that they have found is 1.5 more than what already exists.
And what exists is just a fraction of what they're telling you.
Yes.
Don't believe nothing that these people say. These people socially distance themselves from truth. Nothing that they say is true.
Yes. Wow. 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 Wow.
They're
And
being drawn to battle.
yes, yes. You know, let me just read a little bit of this news here, because I want us to begin to value the lives of our African people. You know, we sit and we cry over what's happening in the Ukraine. We hear about the war in Ukraine, and there were Africans picking up their hard-earned money and sending money to the Ukraine. There were churches in Africa, you know, having prayer meetings for Ukraine. And listen, there's a 7-year war happening in Burkina Faso. There is a war in the Congo, and we're not concerned about it. We watch and we saw all those little children being killed in the US the other day, and we cry at our television. But a week later, 50 persons were killed in a church in Nigeria, including children. And guess what? We didn't even think about it. We hear it and we move on, or some of us didn't even know that it happened. And I am committed to use this forum to always bring up these kinds of issues, and let us begin to value the blood of African people. Let us begin to realize that we're humans too. And not because our skin, we don't have white skin. Listen, everybody blood red. Do you understand? And so we need to, so let me just read a little bit on it, because I want us to keep this in focus as well. At least 50 civilians died in an attack by suspected Islamist militants in northern Burkina Faso. Government spokesman Lionel Bilgo said Monday, in one of the bloodiest clashes since a military coup in January. Did you know that there was a military coup in January in Burkina Faso? I doubt if most of us knew that this happened. Guys, let's research about Africa. Okay, this is very happening right now. Somebody speaking? Who's speaking?
I was saying that there was one in Mali, and when that one is finished, there will be one in the back by Borno among the children of Iran. They're gonna fight again because the people are encroaching on their land, and Europe is telling the world that those people don't belong there. They're a terrorist group, and those people had land there. Europe divide up and cause in the border the border conflicts around there now. These people that you see, they're standing in next to those vehicles there. None of them make them vehicle. They come from Europe, and you see these people there. Your blood, your DNA. Yes, it's red blood, but your DNA is in them. They're your relative. They're not Africans. Those are your brothers and sisters there. That Europe is telling you that you're different to them, so that you support them.
And we have no empathy. So we will read these things and we're not connected to it. We'll have these churches will have these prayer meetings, and this is the last thing that they will pray about. They're praying about Ukraine, and they're praying about Russia, and they pray. Yes, you'll pray about that, but this is also important. But we have lost empathy for our own people. You know, my goodness, this is so important. This is so important with what is. Let me hear what Michelle is saying. Michelle is saying they're going to find a reason to invade the place and use monkeypox as their excuse. I tell you, you know, it's like the monkeypox. They were using African people to say this is what monkeypox looks like, even though they didn't have any case at that time in Africa. And again, it's part of the same thing that is happening. Go ahead,
Marcia.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me hear Steve. Go ahead, Steve.
One quick thing. I'm hearing from some personal reliable sources that Barbados is going to be locked down after this crop over. Now, I don't know how true or how not, but they're going to use some excuse, because don't forget, they're still running with that state of emergency in Barbados right now, when that should have done. And they're running with it up to September. You understand? So they want to lock down Barbados after this crop over, as far as I'm hearing. So let's see if that's going to happen, or they're going to put it back or whatever over some trivial excuse.
But you see, this goes into, and we have 6 minutes, 5 minutes, and I'm going to let Elder go on a roll with this 5 minutes here, and to talk about because what you're talking about, Steve, fits right into what we believe is happening with our Prime Minister here, where that she is part of a plan. And Elder, I never had any conversation with Elder about this. And to hear him bringing this and so well, articulating this in such a powerful way, and connecting the president of Rwanda and the president of Ghana, and understanding how Europe and the US, the UN, the WHO, all of them, how they're using these three persons, these three leaders are being used. And us as Black people, us as a Bantu people, us as those in the diaspora need to open up our eyes and understand. Yes, we applaud all that Miss Motley is achieving. We're applauding all she's achieving, but we need to recognize something. You understand that she is part of a plan. So I don't doubt that they're going to lock down here so that they can do what they need to do, not just to Barbados, but in the Caribbean. So I'm going to leave Elder to go on a roll for me on those three and teach the people about what is happening with these three countries and these three leaders. Can you finish off the program for me, please, Elder, with that?
Okay. You said Islamic rebels, yeah? Insurgents.
Yes.
The word Islamic religion. These are people that carry your DNA in mind. But now, the religion that they did, like Christianity, is now weaponized them against their own.
Yes.
So they're no different to the Prime Minister of Barbados or Kagame or what the other one will become, and all of them that will join in this game. They're all in this game. In South Africa, that man had dug 1.5 million graves during the time of the Qatar, the crown, the corona. Yeah, he had to cover them back up. Yeah, they're making sacrifices of us. See, so she's gonna let that celebration, whatever it is. I don't know what Barbados is celebrating.
They call it crop over. It's like carnival.
Well, I don't know what they're celebrating. What have they achieved? Oh, is the freedom from Britain? You're never free. You're only free when you are controlling your destiny and you know your destiny. Right now, you're hoping that you could be guided to that destiny. So this game that is being played is that there will be another pandemic. They're just setting the stage. You know, when you come to the traffic light and you're going for a race and you're revving the engine, but you still stay in place. You know that you're going somewhere. So that all of the traffic light, and they release the corona now. Everybody's finished with it now for the time. And then they're gonna pick up a speed, and when you see this speed, your skin will grow that you actually seeing this taking place on this earth. And all our people that, like the brother is saying, you want to do these celebrations, you want to crop over, you want to undercrop and overcrop. What you crop in, you'll be cropped out. You will drop just like that. You will drop. But Bob Marley said, many more will have to suffer, and many more will have to die. You see, in South Africa, a man was arrested in 2019, and he's a pastor, right? And he was plotting to overthrow the government and to poison Black people. I don't know if you see that one yet.
Yes, I saw that. Yes.
See, so he's a pastor. He want to bring South Africa back to the days of apartheid. You see that wicked spirit that operates, that spirit that hates children, that traffic in children. That spirit that Msindisi said, is better a millstone be tied around your neck and you be dropped in the sea before you hurt children. You see those people there, all of those leaders in the Caribbean that is facilitating this process. They're going to destroy them. They're just hosts. That's what the demon does. The body that the demon occupies is a body where the body's hosting him, and demons destroy the body. This is what Masindis was teaching us. He said, they're in the graveside cutting themselves, want to die, wish to die. When they get a chance to come out, they went into the pigs and they kill all of them in the river. This is what demons do. This is what the children of Cain do. They have bodies that they occupy, and they don't care which body they occupy, and they don't care what they finish with it.
Wow, that's a note to end on. And the president is the President Kagame of Rwanda. President Kagame these are people that we need to be praying for, because as you said, they are hosts. They're being used. They're being used. They're like puppets. Their bodies are being used. Prime Minister Mia Mottley, this morning I got up praying for her because she's being used. She thinks that they're elevating her and she feels so important, but she's being used against her people. And you have President Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana, right? And that is why this connection that we're seeing with Ghana and Barbados and they're bringing in Kenya and all of that, they're being used to get the resources, of Africa.
They finish.
And to kill, right? That's the thing. They're going to use them and then destroy them. And that is the sad state of affairs. So, you know, we are happy at the moment. The flight did not happen. The flight what am I missing? I'm getting tired. To Rwanda did not happen today, because of the lawyers and the activists and all of that. But I believe that the Most High has a plan. Yeah, it's part of a plan. The Most High has a plan, and it didn't happen. And this gold that is there in, that is there in Uganda, that they think that they're going to get, Elder is saying they're not going to get it. There's something to pray about. There is something to pray about. So as people here in the diaspora, as people, Bantu people, we need to band together. Identity, understanding who we are. Yes, we need to continue the education. We need to cut out some of this partying and all of that Steve is talking about, and get serious. Open up our eyes, realize what is happening, continue to bring awareness, continue to come together. And on that note, I want to thank so much Steve Moore for coming on today. I want to thank also my great friend over there in Trinidad, Ademi Hines, for being on. And of course, we want to thank Elder Nkosi Zunad for being on and bringing the Black re-education to us and letting us see the connection between the Rwanda, what's happening in Rwanda there, what's happening in the DRC, and what's happening in Uganda with all the gold. Oh, my Lord. Listen, this has been tremendous today, guys. And I'm telling you, there has to be a part 2. Listen out for this, because we're not finished yet. You think we're done? We just a come. We're not finished yet. All right. God bless you all, and see you again on Saturday at 11 a.m. Saturday at 11 a.m. Thank you all, guys, for watching. Bye to those on 246 Bait and Vibes Caribbean. Bye-bye. Facebook, YouTube. Bless you all. God bless. Bye-bye. See you.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.